All right. So it looks like we're at the top of the hour here. So, like I said, hopefully we've got some people still filing in here, but going to go ahead and kick this thing off. So, hello again, and welcome to our webinar on mastering your inventory and warehouse ahead of the holiday season. My name is Rob Zaleski. I'm the product marketing manager for ShipStation, and I'll be your host today. So before we get started, I'm going to go through one more time on some of our housekeeping items. This webinar, as I mentioned earlier, will be recorded, and we will send out a recording soon after the webinar. If you end up having any issues during the webinar with sound or video, try exiting out and coming back in. Oftentimes that'll fix those. Also, now is a good time to close down any web browser windows, chat apps, Netflix, Hulu, or anything else that may be zapping your internet bandwidth. We have a lot of great content today, and you're not going to want to miss any of it. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit those in the Q&A box, and we'll get to as many as time allows at the end. And then as we're getting started, if you see that we have our little poll here, make sure that you vote on the poll to let us know what some of your biggest challenges are when it comes to inventory and warehouse. And if it's not on the list, click the other and feel free to add that to the Q&A so that we can kind of see what kind of things you're struggling with. But let's go ahead and get started. So our agenda today is we're going to introduce your speakers. We're going to go over some of the customer expectations for 2025 holiday season from a most recent study. And then we'll talk about inventory and warehouse in ShipStation and how you can use it to make your holiday season a breeze. So first, I would like to introduce your speakers. We have Joanne Sturge and Viri Kazma. Feel free to introduce yourselves and say hi.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Joanne Sturge. I'm Senior Product Manager at ShipStation, and I focus on inventory-related features. A little bit of background on myself. I actually started my career in the e-commerce space, so managing 3 different stores and multiple selling channels. So I have a little bit of sentiment towards y'all, and I have some feelings as well around the holiday season. So here to share my expertise on getting prepared for that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Viri Kazma. I'm a ShipStation product manager in charge of our picking and packing features. And I've been on the company, our parent company, Octane, for a little over 10 years. So love the space, and talking to our merchants is one of my favorite things.
I forgot that you had me beat when it came to how many years you've been here. Wow, that's amazing. Happy decade.
Yay.
Very cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about customer expectations, because as we start thinking about the importance of managing inventory and warehouse, we need to also discuss how that impacts your customers. And with that, let's take a look at what some of the expectations customers have heading into the peak season this year. So one of the first things that I always like to talk about is the delivery speed expectations. 57% of consumers now expect orders to arrive within 2 days, but only 35% of retailers globally are actually meeting that demand. Now, if you've come to one of these webinars before, you've probably seen me cover this data before, but I always find it important to really drive home that expectation, because consumers are demanding faster and more flexible delivery options all the time. ShipStation helps our customers meet those expectations and gain a competitive edge by optimizing delivery routes, providing real-time tracking, and offering a variety of delivery options. But Viri, from a warehouse perspective, what are some of the difficulties you hear managers and shippers experience when it comes to meeting these ever increasing demand for faster delivery?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Rob. So at the top of the list, we have reliance on pen and paper and printed pick lists, all these manual counting. These pretty much leads to mistakes that can not only cost you time in your warehouse operation, but also it can be detrimental to your customer experience. That lack of item verification process during your picking or your packing workflows, merchants care the most about making sure that that shipping accuracy is at the top. Because if you make one packing mistake, you ship the wrong item, that can lead to losing your whole customer, right? Like that you're impacting that loyalty with your brand. So having that accuracy on the items that are being shipped is top of the list as well. I would also mention here picking routes and ways to more efficiently optimize your warehouse workflows, things like having products in different locations and having a system that can guide your picker through what is the quickest way to grab your item so that you can go ahead and increase that speed.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen some people's handwriting, like trying to manually do that on paper and pen?
Agree. And then I've also seen like Post-its. Like, so our merchants were like, we're doing like paper pick lists, we're writing stuff with pens. And when we run into issues or exceptions while we're doing something, maybe the item was missing or damaged, then they're relying on Post-its. So that can, it's that human interaction, right? It can like definitely ending in mistakes.
Yeah, it does not sound ideal. I don't know how many times I've lost the Post-it note that I wrote a very important note on, and then, it's gone forever. Awesome. Thank you, Vidi. So let's look at some delivery preferences. So now that we kind of know what customers are expecting, but customers are expecting their items to arrive within 2 days, let's talk about kind of how they expect those to be delivered. The survey that we've looked at said 70% will opt for home delivery, which, depending on the carrier and service you choose, could come with additional costs. But even more impactful is the fact to note for this season that the holiday shopping calendar is notably tighter this year, with Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend arriving late, November 27th through December 1st. And that could potentially put spending under a time pressure. According to the PwC 2025 Holiday Outlook Survey, 39% of total planned holiday gift spending will happen during that 5-day period of Thanksgiving to Cyber Monday. And perhaps even more importantly than that is almost 80% of holiday gift budgets will have been spent by Cyber Monday. So, as businesses and e-commerce sellers, you already know that this weekend was pivotal, but this year it could be exponentially so. So what happens when we're not meeting customer expectations? According to Founder Jar, about 34% of retailers shipped an item late because it was out of stock. And when customers are ready to buy, they expect their items to be in stock. 69% of customers will abandon a cart because the item or items that they want were not in stock. So Joanne, when you're talking to customers, what kind of examples are you hearing of like how inventory impacts their ability to meet their customers' demands?
Yeah, Rob, this one's super important. So these stats can lead to a lot of inventory mistakes that cause customer frustration. And I want to start on that 34% there. So as we know, customers have that expectation of how quickly items are delivered. It doesn't matter if it's our busiest time of year, they still expect it to come within 2 days. So if you're shipping out an order late because you oversold a product, that could lead to a bad customer experience. Even worse, if you sell out of a product and you have to let the customer know you had to cancel their order, that's an even worse experience for your customer. So we just want to make sure that we're managing our inventory really well everywhere we sell so that we don't run the risk of overselling a product. And then when we look at that 69% of customers, of course, we never want to lose out on orders. We don't want a customer to abandon their cart because we ran out of one product that they were interested in. So on that front, it's really important that you're accurately predicting how much inventory you need to get through this holiday season. And there are tools that can help you do this, forecasting to predict how much inventory you'll need, rather than just relying on your intuition and past experience alone. So there's a couple of tools that can help you be a little bit more intelligent when it comes to inventory management this holiday season.
Yeah, sounds like the best activity is proactivity when it comes to meeting customer demands through inventory management.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, with that expectation of the 2-day delivery window, you don't have much time to react if you suddenly realize that an item is out of stock that's been sold. So, those time constraints really, really start to add up pretty quickly. So let's talk a little bit about what the customers further expect. So, even if you capture a sizable portion of that 80% of the spending by Cyber Monday, the pot could still be a little smaller this year. According to that same Holiday Outlook survey, consumers are expecting to decline their spending a bit by about 5% from 2024. And this is the first notable drop since 2020. So that when we saw that uptick from the pandemic and all the e-commerce merchants were riding high, we're now starting to see that kind of finally drop off a little bit. But beneath that top line dip in holiday spending, we're actually seeing a deeper shift that not all consumers are behaving the same way. So Gen Z is actually pulling back the most of any group, saying that they plan to slash holiday budgets by about 23%. And this is a sharp reversal from last year when they actually surged 37% year over year. So that's a pretty big gap in their spending. And according to the survey, 63% are opting for more resale and upcycled products. And 1 in 3 said that they're cutting consumption to reduce environmental impact. So this generation definitely has a different mindset in terms of how they're thinking about the products that they want to buy and why they want to buy them. Additionally, 34% of Gen Z say sustainability and health and wellness are top factors when considering holiday purchases, and that's more members of this generation actually read labels when they're purchasing food than other segments do. So, if you cater to the Gen Z crowd, you definitely want to make sure that you are uh, thinking about these kind of things, and your messaging around your products. The sustainability, health, and wellness. That's really going to resonate with the Gen Z audience. And then, of course, there's still the traditional drivers. Price, which is like 49%, free shipping, 42%. Promotions 38%. Like, they're all still very influenced by these other factors, but there are now more than those just kind of commonplace factors to take into account. Now, millennials are expected to actually remain basically flat year over year at about a 1% decline. And that's likely balancing kind of like their peak earning years with higher fixed expenses, higher cost of living, the tariff concerns that we've all seen popping up this year. And then the baby boomers are actually the only one who's really expected to increase theirs by 5% compared to 2024. And these trends are kind of pointing to more of like a broader spending reset. It's driven less by just like cost consciousness and more by kind of like where people are in their life and kind of their evolving priorities. One thing I thought was really interesting is Gen Z is actually directing about 39% of its smaller budget towards self gifting. So Gen Z is just reminding us that we all need to practice a little self-love during the holiday season. But meanwhile, millennials and boomers are focused on others, allocating 62% and 67% respectively of their spend to family and friend gifts. So Joanne Vitti, as businesses are kind of tightening the belt to accommodate potential pullback for the holiday season, what are some ways that they can do that from a perspective of managing their inventory in their warehouse?
Yeah, so from an inventory operational standpoint, I think it's really important that you're just as efficient as possible. Time is money during this time of year. You want to fulfill orders as quickly as possible, but you also want to focus on some of the other core business operations. So you don't want to spend time manually doing inventory operations. So updating your stock levels everywhere you sell. There's a lot of ways that we can expedite these workflows, such as using scanning processes to receive inventory, or even using some of those tools like forecasting to predict some of this reordering. And I know reordering is going to be top of mind pretty shortly here. People are going to start to reorder for the holiday season. So I think this data is really helpful here to just, it's a reminder that, know your audience, know your target customer, where they fall on this graph. Of course, we can expect to see an increase in order volume during the holiday season, but just by how much is what we're trying to determine here. So
Yeah.
that's important when it comes to reordering.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's even more important to look at some of these forecast statistics through the lens of who your customers are and what they plan to spend on, right?
From the warehouse side of things, I would say implement barcode-based quick actions. So ShipStation offers so many shortcuts and actions that can be triggered by barcode scanning. Things like printing your packing slip or calling your package weight from your scale instead of using your mouse and keyboard to do that with a scan, along with implementing item scan verification into your picking and packing workflows, making sure that you have a system that can guide your operation workers through the prompts with minimal human decision having to be made on the fly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just to eliminate the need for those decisions and errors, and that gets things moving quickly. And I alluded to this earlier, but let's talk a little bit about what those consumers actually plan to spend their money on. So Gen Z, earlier I mentioned a couple of different things, but one of the things that they're shopping for are experiences, which is kind of tough to do in e-commerce, but also trending items. So fire up your Labubus, I guess. I still don't understand the Labubu thing, and I grew up in the Beanie Baby era. But it's a thing, and it's so anything that's trending on TikTok, that's trending on social media, finger on the pulse of what's is kind of up and coming, especially if you have a Gen Z audience. They're also looking for quality, what are called dupes, which is a new term I learned, which is kind of another name for like off-brand clothing that looks on brand. So if you kind of have that second-hand seller type of shop, like that could be right in your wheelhouse. Millennials are more focused on practicality, so they're very interested in the kind of convenience tools, the everyday things that they wouldn't necessarily splurge on. So home goods, finally replacing that pot and pan set that they've been using far longer than they should have. Mom and dad. So that's one of the things that millennials are really focused on. Gen X is actually more interested in the big ticket items. So if you sell kind of luxury goods, finer clothing, jewelry, fragrances, that's kind of where Gen X's attention is. So you definitely want to make sure that you're catering your message to that interest. And then boomers are more interested in traditions and experiences, like time together with friends and family. So, grandma always says, you visiting is gift enough. And now they're actually showing that. So, a place that many of these shoppers are heading, regardless of their gift giving, receiving preferences, are marketplaces. For the first time, holiday gift shopping is nearing channel parity, with 51% of consumers planning to complete their purchases through online marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Etsy, and even 53% are still planning to shop in person. So the omni-channel experience is definitely still there. Gen Z in particular is already kind of blending channels to shop smarter. These consumers now use social media as basically search engines to discover new gift ideas, which also inadvertently creates more touch points for retailers to connect with them online. Another interesting stat that we're probably going to see exponentially increasing year over year is about 15% of Gen Z and millennials also say that they expect to use AI to find gifts. So if you haven't started optimizing your store and your marketplace listings for AI search, that's going to become one of your top priorities for sure this holiday season, but definitively moving forward, because that is more than likely not going to go away anytime soon. And also harkening back to the statistic around cart abandonment earlier, when items are out of stock, this really emphasizes the need for accurate counts when you take a multi-channel approach. If your main storefront is accurate, but your numbers on these highly searchable marketplaces is not, that could be costing you sales and customers. So Joanne, let's dig into that a little bit more when we're talking about the multi-channel aspect a little bit.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics surrounding inventory because we released Inventory Sync just over a year ago, and I've met and chatted with hundreds of businesses of all sizes, small, medium, large, and a lot of them have introduced this multi-channel selling, and it can kind of seem daunting at first, especially if you're newer on the smaller side, to start selling on a marketplace like Amazon. But really, a lot of the people I chat with have seen such amazing sales volume growth, not just on these channels, but kind of like you mentioned, it gives you a bit of brand visibility. So I know I kind of use Amazon like a search engine sometimes. If I want to buy something that I've never purchased before, that's the first place I'm going to go. I'm going to look at who's selling. Maybe I don't decide to purchase that day, but later I remember the brand that I was looking at. The name of the game here is to just get your brand in front of people where they shop. And a lot of these marketplaces are the place to do that. I'm a huge Etsy shopper in the holidays. It gives you that customized personal experience. So selling on these marketplaces can grow your growth, obviously, because you're introducing new sales channels, but also on your own individual store too. And once you do decide to go multi-channel, it's really important to keep all of those channels up to date. So we're making sure that we're syncing all of those latest stock levels everywhere you sell. There's tools that help you do this. Of course, ShipStation has inventory sync, and that can come in to save the day so that you're not working on this manually during peak season. So yeah, this is really important going into the holidays.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on Etsy. I like to tell people that my wedding was sponsored by Etsy because there were so many elements to it that we purchased from the marketplace. So yeah, especially if you're into unique handcrafted things, we find a lot of really cool stuff on Etsy. Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about you just kind of alluded to inventory sync in ShipStation. So let's talk a little bit about ShipStation is known obviously for your optimizing your shipping, but now we offer inventory and warehouse management features that can help centralize more of your e-commerce operations. And I'd like to have Joanne and Vidi kind of go through some of the features, and then we'll also hop into a little bit of a demo so you can kind of see how some of this works in action.
Yeah, awesome. So we mentioned how important it is to keep accurate inventory across all of your channels. So that's going to be solved by ShipStation's inventory sync. And then when it comes to improving accuracy and speed, we love using scanners to do some of the workflows instead of manually creating CSV files. So we've introduced some new scanning workflows when it comes to inventory, such as our scan to receive. And then that kind of goes hand in hand with how you reorder. So we have a new forecasting tool, as well as the ability to create purchase orders in ShipStation. And with all of these new features, we're hoping that we can help you centralize more of your workflows in the place you already manage all of your orders. So we're the aggregate of all the orders on Amazon, Etsy, everywhere you sell. We're just helping you manage more of those daily operations in ShipStation.
Very cool. And let's kick it over to Vidi to talk about our warehouse management, and then we'll go into some demos.
Yeah, so we talked to so many customers throughout the year, Rob, and one of their biggest asks was they love our scan page. They love what we offer them on our packing side of things for that scan to verification. One of the biggest asks was we want to implement item verification at the picking level. So we've introduced mobile picking. So right now we already have iOS and Android support for basic mobile picking workflows from our customers. So instead of doing that, like we mentioned, pen and paper, we have the digital pick list now that allows them to align with their warehouse layouts. If they have locations, it guides the picker through the best path in sorting through those locations to get those items. And then it also adds the whole, like you see on the screen, the visual, if you verify that item accurately, but it also has audio, similar to our scan page, because sometimes the pickers get into like auto mode, right, or autopilot. And that audio, it's almost scary when you fail the verification too. It really makes you look at what you're doing. You can also manage the picking on the go, right? Improve that accuracy, like it's stating here. And the whole goal of this is efficiency. All these features are to increase efficiency through the fulfillment operations, the picking and the packing workflows.
Love it. So Joanne, if you want, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. If you want to bring up your inventory.
Let's take a look at ShipStation.
And as a reminder, as she's going through the demo here, if you have any questions, please feel free to start putting those in the Q&A. Even if we can't answer them today, this is really great feedback for our product managers here. So if you have any questions on the current functionality, what might be coming, feel free to put those in the Q&A box while we're going through these.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Okay, so I'm going to start here on the products grid. This should look familiar to a lot of people here, but I wanted to start by calling out a couple inventory counts that matter here. So we have our on-hand inventory, and this is, of course, known as the quantity of items physically on your shelf in your warehouse. But what's important to call out here is this committed column. So in ShipStation, we're actually committing inventory for your open orders. So as you're receiving orders for items, we're committing those aside and deducting them from your on-hand count to create this in-stock value. And this in-stock number is what we're actually using for inventory sync. So I wanted to start here before I jump into demo how inventory sync works. So this sticker here, if I had maybe, let's say, 6 orders for this product, we would see 680 in this column here. And you can set up inventory sync by going into your inventory management settings, and there's this inventory sync screen. So pretty straightforward. You select your sources and your targets here. Your source is most likely going to be ShipStation, although if you have a 3PL connected, they may appear in this column as well. And then you just select everywhere you sell as a target. And then inventory sync syncs that in-stock number every 10 minutes. Should you ever want to push a sync, let's say you received a pallet at your warehouse, you updated all your stock, you can go ahead and click this button and we'll update those counts for you. And then one more thing I wanted to call out before the holiday season that I think is really valuable is this setting per target. So you can select sync options here. And then you have the option to set up a few settings here with how we sync that stock number. So you can set a minimum, a maximum, but what I think is most helpful for the holiday season is this buffer stock. So let's say you have 100 on your shelf, but you only want to sync 90, you can set a buffer stock of 10. So you don't have to deduct what you're looking at in ShipStation. You can use this tool to kind of give you that extra security blanket going into this peak season. And you can set it on a per store basis. So let's say Shopify tends to get more traffic than your other stores. You can always make the buffer count higher there. I'm going to go over to my inventory grid now and show you some of those reordering tools that we have. So I'm looking at my Austin warehouse, and let's start with that forecasting tool. So you can select some of your products, or you can go ahead and just select all and then click Reorder Assist. And this is going to bring up a forecasting report on how much inventory you need to reorder. So a couple configurations you can select at the top, a look back period, how much data do I want to look back at? Let's say I want to look at a full year. And then the forecast period, how much time do I want enough inventory for? And then there's a few other things here. So let's say I anticipate a lot of growth coming up, bigger than last year. It's holiday season. I'm anticipating a lot of growth in sales. You can adjust that metric here as well. Maybe even putting in how much time it takes to get to your warehouse and then how much inventory you would like to have on hand at the end of that forecast period. You can configure all of these settings and then hit apply, and it will adjust the quantities down here. Now, the caveat here is you'll have much better data than me. I don't actually have a warehouse where I fulfill orders, so this looks pretty boring, but you'll have better metrics on your end. And you can see we have this suggested reorder quantity, but you can always adjust it here to be higher or lower. And then you can export this forecasting report either to a CSV file, or you can directly create a purchase order from this report. Another cool trick is you can click this show chart. It will give you a visual of how much inventory you will have at a certain period of time based on our forecasting. Again, your chart will look much more interesting than mine does, but it kind of shows you how your inventory is adjusted over time and then how it will decrement after you receive that inventory. I'm going to show you how to create a purchase order outside of this window, just to show all of the steps. But again, you could always click this button and skip those initial steps. And then if I go down to my purchase order screen, this is where you can create purchase orders. So simply select this create purchase order button. You can select your supplier. Let's just say I'm going to be ordering some new dog collars to this warehouse. And this is where you can either type in your products or you can use a Bluetooth scanner. I just have, it's going to be blurry, a Bluetooth scanner from Amazon here. Anything that connects to your computer. You can scan the barcodes of products and it will actually be added to the grid below. So let me just go through, scan a couple products. And what's cool about this is if you scan the same product more than once, you will see that quantity actually increment on the grid below. Sorry if you're hearing my scanner beep. But you can see these quantities are being adjusted as I'm scanning. So you can also go ahead and hit tab and easily manage your way through the grid to adjust those quantities. I'm going to go ahead and click save an order. You can always save this as a draft to revisit later. Let's create my purchase order. And you'll be taken to this screen that shows you a summary of what you just created. And you can print off that summary as a PDF. So this is important if you want to forward this information to your supplier. You can go ahead and generate a PDF. And of course, mine's going to take a while. But you can save that as a PDF and then email it to your supplier there. And you can always receive the stock directly from this window, but there it goes. But what's most likely going to happen is you'll receive this inventory in a few days or a week's time. So you'll come back to this grid, simply select receive, and then you'll see what you ordered down here below. Let's just zoom out to get a better view. And what you could do is you can click through and select all to accept or reject products, but you could also, same functionality here, scan the barcode of what is on the pallet, and it will receive those items for you. So you don't even have to click on the screen if you don't want to. And then I'll go ahead and just come through here and click some of the other stuff. And I will save that receipt of the purchase order. And then when this goes through, of course, my Wi-Fi, when you do finish receiving, you can always come through and print off a received summary as well so that you can send that to your supplier saying, these are the items I received at my warehouse. I will show you one more cool tip, and that is the scan to receive. It works just like a purchase order, except you don't have to deal with adding suppliers and some of those first steps. If you select receive inventory, you can go ahead and scan those products in. So this is, there's the barcode. This is just the easiest way to add inventory to your warehouse. So let's say a pallet arrives, walk around, scan everything on the pallet. Again, we'll increment however many times you scan a product. Let's go there. And then you can simply just hit add stock, and this will increase the quantity at that warehouse. And that is how the new features in ShipStation work today. And if you have any questions, I didn't mention this earlier, you can email inventory@shipstation.com and I can answer any questions you may have about these features, send you a recorded demo of anything in particular. And yeah. That's it for inventory.
Before we move over to the warehouse portion, there was a few questions that were specific to this that I think we should jump on. One question was about reorder assist. Do we allow reports by warehouse location?
So that would be specific to either one warehouse or locations within a warehouse. So currently Reorder Assist, you select what warehouse you want to run the forecasting report on. And it's not specific to like bin locations within the warehouse. It would be specific to that warehouse, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
The warehouse itself. Yeah, that is what it's intended for. Thank you for that follow-up question.
And then staying with kind of reordering, is there a way to see when the last reorder for a product was and how much was ordered at that time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Reorder Assist is a fairly new feature, and this is really good feedback and something I'll take a note of as to how we can increase or improve this tool. At this time, that isn't possible in ShipStation, but I'll take that note and we'll introduce that later.
Cool, great. I love when we get new feedback that helps us out. Is it possible to CSV upload purchase orders?
Not at this time, but that is also something we have been considering. So thank you for giving me another tally mark as to a request for that. I've noted that as well. That's really good feedback.
And then this one, I think might be out of what we do, but I'll ask it just for clarification. So do we have any recommendations on how to generate a barcode for your product?
Yeah, I might pass that over to Vidi. I know we've chatted about barcode generation, and she might speak to that, but that's a good time to kind of pass it over to Warehouse too.
Yeah, currently we have merchants utilizing like third-party apps to create barcodes. With that being said, we are actively building the ability to create barcodes in ShipStation. So you'll hear us talk about totes here in a minute. So we're going to be doing that. In progress is allowing you to create your location barcodes for your inventory as well. And following to that will be the products, just to make it easier from, I'm just like starting, let me go ahead and also have that in ShipStation.
Awesome.
With that being said, I will jump into showing our new mobile picking feature. Perfect. Okay, so on the left side on my screen, you should be able to see our ShipStation web app, and then just on the right side, what you're looking at is at my mobile Android device. Just we'll talk about hardware requirements at the end of this, but pretty much what I want to show you here is the whole process of what we've added into the ShipStation web app, what we've added in the mobile app, and how does that workflow work through bringing in mobile picking workflow so that you can get rid of printed pick lists. So on the ShipStation screen on the orders page, you'll have your different statuses under awaiting shipment. We've added a new column. So we have the batch column already there, but we have a picking status column now. We're going to go through all the new statuses that we've introduced through the fulfillment process. We've introduced ready for picking, and picked. So as the picker is doing or performing a task through picking the items, we'll be tracking those statuses and changing them so that we can then turn them into insights for you on reports. We've also introduced a button at the top called ready to pick. So I'm going to go ahead and select some orders here and select that ready to pick button. So a couple of things that will happen here is it's going to be creating a batch. Let me go back a little bit here. It will go ahead and create a batch. If you already have batches, you can just let it auto-generate, and it will just give you the next number in the sequence available, or you can type in here and rename your batch. We'll talk about some use cases where you might want to per se, like assign this batch to a picker. This is a good way to put in front of them to know that it's for them. Once you go ahead and do that, and it also allows you to select the ship from location or the warehouse that this batch is going to be picked from, then it runs some, it checks for some errors, things like making sure that there's items in the order, or for inventory, when you're using our inventory features that Joan just showed, it's also going to make, this is where the allocation will happen. So on the back, you can kind of see the allocation status. So when we're running this, we're going to make sure that you have enough counts in that warehouse to for your picker to go pick those items. If there's not enough counts, we're running the allocation, then there will be an error. And the error will allow you in here to say you have to either remove whatever orders are having those items that you don't have enough inventory to pick from, or you can from there go into the product and adjust your inventory counts. What it's trying to do is making sure that when your picker gets to that location, there's enough items for them to pick. Once that is done, it pretty much confirms the batch to be picked. And we're going to move to the right side of things here. But I want to show in the website things, the picking column, you can see how it generated the batch. It's the batch ending in 81, and the picking status now it's ready to pick. It's important that the orders are in this status so that the mobile app can't see them. So now on the mobile app of ShipStation, we've introduced a new menu item. It's pick. So our pickers will go there, tap on that, and then this is where they will see everything in a batch list organized. So in here you see it by date. And when I was referring to, if you want to change the name of the batch, kind of see the examples at the bottom. So batch that ends in 70, it's for Stephanie, and there's another one in there for Viri with different orders. So the one that we just created is the one that ends in 81, and it has a little bit of an overview here. There's 4 orders and the status of it. So as a picker, I'm going to tap on it. And then the first thing that I'm going to see, it's an overview of my batch. I can say that there's 4 orders that I'm going to pick for, and there's a total of 3 different unique items within those orders. We also have different settings in here, similar to the printed pick list, that will allow you to organize what order does your picker should do this. If you have locations enabled for your inventory and where it's at, well, you can select that, and then we're going to guide them through that route based on that sorting of those locations so they can go in that order. If you don't, or maybe you just want to sort by quantity or by item name, that's a possibility too. So this is just kind of giving them an overview. We will show it here in a minute, but once they tap on start picking, that is what would trigger our website to update the status from ready to pick to picking. We'll show that here in a minute. So the first thing here is if you have locations enabled, it will tell them exactly where to go to this item. Right now, they can just tap on it once they're there. They can tap on it, confirm they're there. As I mentioned before, we are working with the ability to print the barcodes for your location. So if you want them to have that scanning, that making sure they're on the right location, that it's there. And we're also working on a setting to allow you to either turn this on or off. Some customers have said, as we talk to them, that they do want to make sure that they have to scan or confirm that they're at the right locations. Others are like, no, just tell them where to go. I don't need that second verification for the location. So that will definitely be a setting that we're working on. So once they can confirm they're there, then we're going to go ahead and show that item that we send them to that location for. A couple of things here is that's when the verification will happen. So we are currently supporting if they scan either a value that matches the UPC, the SKU, or the fulfillment SKU of the product catalog for that item. We're going to look at any of those 3 fields, and if it matches what the scan is reading, then the verification will take it as one item has been scanned. As you can see there, we see different values here in the screen. And if we scan the wrong item, then it will show this error message. And again, I don't think that you can hear my audio here, but there's going to be also some audio that they get as feedback when there's an accurate pick and when there is a wrong item being scanned. I'll go ahead and just finish picking this item here, and then it will pretty much automatically send me, okay, you're done with your 8 items, then go to the next location. This is a great indicator of them knowing, okay, it's another item. Something to call out to at the top, we have a progress bar to let the picker know how many unique items you have left. Where are you in that in the process of picking for that batch? And then same thing here, right? So we send them to the location. Once they confirm the location, we can move on. But I want to show you on the left side, as we started picking, then that the orders in that batch now are on a different status. So they went from ready to pick to picking. And again, this is all great because now we're logging this action so that we can then put this on a dashboard for you and start giving you more of the details on where your orders at in the fulfillment process. Once we can go through this one, it will also work with the verification of it, same thing. And I do want to call out on this next item here, we have the ability for them to just do a manual verification. So on the manual verification side of things, if there is a button at the bottom right now, you see if they tap it, it's just gonna grab and think, okay, I'm just gonna pretend you grab the 2 items. We're not counting them, we're not scanning them. So if you're telling me you manually verify them, we're just gonna say, we're gonna pretty much say you did the complete pick here for 2 out of 2. We are working, we get feedback from our users that have been getting early access to this feature. They want to see this behind a user permission, and that is in progress right now. We're going to add user permissions to manual verification, not only for mobile picking, but also it's a top request to add that to our packing station or scan page. So that is coming pretty soon as well. Once they tap on verify manually, again, we just count that everything was verified. And then at this point, they are done with the batch. All the products have been picked, and we give them the option to pick another batch. So go back to the main menu or just abandon everything at that point. And then going back to the ShipStation website of things, we can see that now that batch is moved to picked. So then we have the whole 3 new statuses and different flows through the operation. And that concludes the demo here, but I do want to call out hardware. We support Android devices, any Android that runs version 11 or higher. It could be a phone, it could be the devices that come with an integrated scanner. There's too many brands out there on Amazon. You can also use your well-known brands, your Zebra, your Honeywells. They should all work. We've had users testing it with even refurbished Amazon phones, and they add a scanner like this to it via Bluetooth. They don't really like that because then you have a picker with a phone and this on your hand and picking items. But some of our merchants have tried also wearable rings. The idea is that it connects via Bluetooth to the phone and that works. Or again, they also make these scanners that have the built-in scanning capability in them, so you don't need to add anything else. And we've recently also released support on this on iOS. So even on any iPhone, you can run mobile picking today. I also wanted to add a couple of things that we are actively working on. So some of our top things that we're actively working on and getting close to releasing soon is additional picking methods to make this much more efficient for your warehouse operation. So we'll be including another method of pick to tote so that your pickers can not only pick in a batch, but also as I'm picking, I'm separating my items in totes. The whole idea of this is by the time that they get to the packer or the packing station, they can scan a tote or this bin, and we know what order is in it, and they can proceed and pack and ship that order. So that is coming. With this, we have also released new reports for warehouse. So now that we can see the statuses through your picking operation and what user is doing what action, you have access to picking metrics for your pickers. So how many items have they picked? How long are they taking? How many unique SKUs have they picked in a specific set of time? So there's a lot of good things coming, and also we will start looking at enhancing packing next. So I'm very, very excited.
Lots of great stuff on the horizon. I love it. I know we're talking about the exciting world of mobile picking, and but somebody did have a question if you can add barcodes to a pick list.
Awesome. So pick list customization. Yeah, great. No, thank you so much for this. Definitely that's next on the top, because we do get quite some feedback about give me the ability to customize my pick list just like you do to the unpacking slip. So thank you for calling that out.
Awesome. Great. I see Joanne is furiously responding to questions in the Q&A here. I love it. Is there any that you want to bring to the general audience that you think are not super specific?
No, I think I answered everything in here. Feel free to throw in any final questions or anything I may have missed. Best to note that I did reply with our emails to a lot of them, because some of these features that we got feedback on, I would love to dig a little bit deeper and get a little bit more insights as to what specifically they were asking for.
Awesome. And yeah, I did see someone noted that they didn't see this on theirs. So back in July, ShipStation launched a new batch of pricing plans to try to make things a bit easier for people based on their needs, and then kind of volume is secondary. So it's a little bit different than the old style plans that we have. All of these new features are available on those new plans. So if you email us at the inventory@shipstation.com, we'll see what we can do about getting you access one way or another to some of these new features, so that you can start rolling them out for your use during the busy season of the year. And then, yes, thank you, Viti. So if you have any specific things, specific questions about the warehouse, more so than the inventory side, we also have a warehouse at shipstation.com if you're interested in some of those features.
Feel free to email us there at any time. Our whole team is actively monitoring that, or one or the other. Honestly, both me and Joanne are on there. So we will get your email one way or another, and we will make sure that we answer your questions or enable these features.
Awesome. And then looks like we had just a couple other questions. So one question about the inventory sync, Joanne, is it does inventory sync work with bundles?
Yes, it does. So if you manage bundles or aliases in ShipStation, those will sync properly using inventory sync. So no worries there as well.
Good. Great news. And what about lots? Are people able to manage lots and lot numbers in ShipStation?
Yeah, so this is a newer feature as well that is currently in beta testing. So again, that email is a great way to get in touch with me and my team. But you can now manage lots and expiration dates in ShipStation. So if you're selling perishable goods, makeup, anything like that, you can manage those in ShipStation too and assign them to orders. And we have the ability to run like a recall report. So should you ever have to, we hope you don't. But if anything goes through a recall, you can search up all of the customers who have been impacted.
Awesome. Yeah, one question that came up, Joanne, can you give us an overview of the stores and marketplaces that our inventory sync works with?
Yeah, so we have a long list, and you can always check our help docs for the latest because we have some new channels that might be on there soon. But we currently support Amazon, BigCommerce, eBay, Etsy, Faire, Shopify, Squarespace, Temu, TikTok Shop, Walmart, Walmart Canada, Wix, and WooCommerce.
Yeah, so a lot of coverage there. We're always keeping our eye on requests to see, what's next. But we try to make sure that we're covering most of where people are selling currently. And then Viti did get a chance to talk about some of the stuff coming out for warehouse. Did you want to kind of give a sneak preview, Joanne, for some of the stuff that's coming up for inventory?
Yeah, so coming soon, we have that scan to receive functionality will be in the mobile app so that you can not be attached to a desktop computer when receiving inventory. And then we also have the ability to transfer stock between warehouses and then stock audits coming soon too. And then if you do happen to use our returns feature in ShipStation, we are working to make sure that we're better at accepting inventory when you're processing those returns as well too. So those will be coming soon.
Awesome. And it looks like we are past the 45-minute hour, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. Any of these questions that you asked, we will collect all of them and make sure that we're trying to get you an answer if possible. And as both Viti and Joanne mentioned, we have those email addresses if you needed to follow up on anything or left here with any other questions that we didn't get to. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Joanne and Viti, for bringing your expertise. That is always appreciated. Again, this recording will be sent to you via email that you registered from, and that should be coming probably tomorrow once we get this uploaded and everything. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We hope you have a great holiday season and wishing you happy shipping.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.